So they talk about the Retreatist bibliography from 1967 written by Don Stevens, who was an architect, and this guy called Harry Brown was walking around the States, driving around the States, flying around the States, making good money, telling people how to survive the impending collapse of the financial system in 1967. Various letters talk about hard money, stuff like this, talk about the oil crisis in 1973 and how that affected everything. More of a focus on gold and silver, diamonds, platinum, hard currencies, stuff like that. And that was kind of where it was at for a while. They mention Colonel Jeff Cooper, who even I'd heard of, who wrote about bunker defense, making your house into a retreat into a bunker against small arms fire. And he wrote an article in April 1982 called Notes on Tactical Defense, Tactical Residential Architecture. And it's easily available online. And I'm going to do a review on that at some point. Interesting. Just how military it got and all the rest of it. Obviously, James Wesley Rawls, kind of famous, though old now, going to outlive SHDF, I think is James. He invented Cooper Corners, which is the Vauban star that Cooper had invented on the corner of a house to protect, to have range of fire. All those stuff is worth looking at. It's worth thinking about in terms of defence. Then we flash forward to 1975, and Kurt Saxon wrote a monthly newsletter, because that's how people communicated back then, called The Survivor. And he used the early 19th and 20th century pioneering and on-skill technologies and wrote them up as well. And he claims to have used the term survivalist to describe the movement in 1976. Is that true, Uncle Al? So anyway, Don Stevens popularised retreater to describe those in the movement, referring to preparation to leave cities for remote havens or survival retreats should society break down. And which is kind of amusing because he wrote a book in 1976 called The Survivor's Primer, an updated retreaters bibliography. Again, that is available. It costs a lot of money. If there's any links to these that aren't a lot of money, let me know. Anyway, the term retreater fell eventually into disuse because people saw it retreating as a more rational approach to conflict avoidance and invisibility. Survivalism, on the other hand, at that point became well established by the media as sensational, combative, shoot out with the losers type of thing. The fire recently in California, I believe, there was a survivalist from way back when who built bunkers there and filled them full of homemade hand grenades. You have to wonder about people's sanity. Anyway, flash forward a bit further, we talk about some science fiction people that got involved in the 70s, including Dean Ing. And also in 1980, a guy called John Pugsley wrote a book called The Alpha Strategy, which was on the New York Times bestseller list for 9 weeks in 1981, which just shows how terrified we all are of war at that time. And yeah, this is also widely available for free online. And I'm going to read it, and I'm going to exercise the most interesting bits of it. It's apparently still influential. I haven't really heard of it, but apparently it is. And Jerry Purnell also was involved in this. He was an editor of a survivalist magazine called Survive for a while, and was influential, and has written good sci-fi. By 1982, Ragnar Benson wrote a book called Live Off the Land in the City and Country, suggested rural survival retreats as both preparedness measures and a conscious lifestyle change. So all throughout this period, hippies were there and hippies stayed there, that actually retreated away from modern society because they didn't like it, living off the land. But it's kind of been ignored mostly by the prepper movement, how much in common with the hippie and environmental movements prepping actually has, but because of the political differences usually it's kind of ignored. 1999, Y2K was there, there's a few books written on that. After the September 11th attack on New York, Avian flu, wars, energy shortage, environmental disasters, global climate change, economic uncertainty, and just plain nasty weather-related events like the 2004 tsunami showed us that we are fragile. When that happens, we get scared, and often we may prep. Credit caps in 2007, 2008 was another thing that really sparked the economic buy gold, buy Bitcoin movement. Swine flu 2009, which I actually kind of have studied in some degree. The swine flu epidemic H1N1 in 2009, as far as I can make out, and the stats were pretty repressed, actually killed and harmed more people by the vaccination than would have been killed and harmed by the swine flu. Now, let's talk about something interesting. Gerald Salante, founder of the Trends Research Institute, which is a type of futurism, and futurism is a science, liberal arts science, and an interesting one. It looks at trends and blah blah, forecasts the future, knowing the future cannot be known. He called something neo-survivalism from 2009 onwards, which I think is kind of interesting. And this is how he explained it in 2009. When you go back to the last depressing days when we were in a survival mode, the last one, the Y2K of course, before the 1970s, what happened was you only saw this one element of survivalist, you know, the caricatures. The guy with the AK-47 heading to the hills with enough ammo and pork and beans to ride out the storm. This is a very different one from that. You're seeing average people taking smart moves and moving in intelligent directions to prepare for the worst. And he goes on. So survivalism in every way is possible. Grow your own, self-sustaining, doing as much as you can to make it as best as you can on your own, and it can happen in urban, suburban area or exurbs. It also means becoming more and more tightly committed to your neighbours and neighbourhood and community, and working together and understanding we're all in this together and that we're helping each other out, and that's going to be the best way forward. I think there's a lot of truth to that, but I also think there's a lot of truth to Heinlein about not letting people know you have beans if everybody's starving to death. A balance and a measured response to the prevailing conditions, with always keeping hidden reserves, maybe. So yeah, the Trend Research Journal calls this the communal spirit intelligently deployed is the core value of neo-survivalism. And that's kind of fascinating. So that's it for part one. I hope that gave you food for thought. Likely Wikipedia, likely myself have got this wrong. If I got it wrong, let me know in the comments below. Feel free to do a VR telling me I'm an idiot. But I think it's kind of fascinating. Economic collapse of American dollar has been forecast, planned for, and millions, tens of millions of dollars have been spent on that since at least the 1960s. Guess it'll happen one day, but I think something will trigger the fall of the dollar, and if that thing is a nuclear war or a pandemic or a meteor strike, I don't think having gold and silver is going to help you at all. What do you think? Are you a precious metal survivalist? Anyway, part two is actually going to discuss, as per Wikipedia, different types of prepper. Au revoir.